I met a gypsy.
How did you find the changes to the series this year? Not the best?
Well, I think I personally was very open-minded. Obviously, I spent the whole year last year off with a concussion and post-concussion syndrome. So coming into this year for me was just a bonus, and there was a lot going on. Like we have an association, so a group chat with like top riders, and there's been a lot going on in there. A lot of people were worried for the future of our sport, and they were right to be worried. You know, there's a lot of money coming in from somewhere and going some places we don't know where. Like we haven't seen it, but
so what's the money's coming from Discovery?
Well, I don't really know. I guess they just. Honestly, I'm not I can't speak for them because I don't really know. I just know that obviously with all deals like that, there's got to be money involved because Red Bull used to own the
Red
rights.
Bull was paying something.
Yeah. So, and they created like a good series. Like people loved watching it. Obviously, people could tune in for free. And we were hoping that, if they did make it a little bit more pro and elite, like the whole sport itself would kind of elevate. Maybe it's the change we needed. But after this year, we kind of let it run for a year and we were like, okay, let's try it. We had a semi-finals put in. No one was really keen for that because we're all like, downhill is that one run. Like the whole art and passion of downhill is like that one run that we all look forward to. And we just feel like it got messy. Like we couldn't even, like for fans, we heard that they couldn't watch it. But as a rider, it felt messy. Like I was lucky because, like I said, I had no expectations in a way. So I just took every race as it came.
And you coming off the injury, you're kind of just stoked to be there. At
Exactly.
That point too,
I was like, every day I was riding my bike, I was stoked. So that's all I was in there for. But as the season went along and we were just, I know most riders aren't happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, it's a big risk for them. Like it seemed gnarly. It seemed like a huge fuck you to Red Bull, what it seemed like with how much they would have invested in that, because I've worked with Red Bull a bunch to know that they don't really make money on any of that shit.
Yeah.
That's all of that is basically branding, you know.
Yeah.
And that was gnarly to be like, and there, from what I heard too, there was no first rider refusal, no option for them to stay. It was just no, see ya.
Yeah. Again, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but I don't know, like I said, we were super happy with how Red Bull were doing it, but there's always room for improvement. And we were stoked. We were like, let's see how it goes. But it's not that they've done everything bad. Obviously, Discovery have done a really good job of a lot of things, and they're new to it. They're brand new. So I feel like we need to give them some time. But personally, the whole semi-final thing for me and for a lot of other riders just doesn't work. But then they reduced the field massively to finals. So I feel like that was their way of being like, oh, well, it's not as savage if we just put a little semi-finals in there, you know?
Yeah.
But it just made it so hectic.
Yeah.
So hectic.
What did it change? Did it do anything to influence results, do you think?
Okay. Definitely. We saw, like I said, this year, we only saw Jackson win 2 World Cups. There was a new winner at every round for the first 7 rounds.
Really?
And in the women for the first 3, there was or 4, there was 4 different winners. So for us, we were like, geez, this is really mixing stuff up. So in that sense, it was more exciting. But it was just a shame that the whole format didn't build it up in that way. Red Bull used to give us characters and they would make storylines and it would be fun to watch. And some of it might have been a bit over dramatic, but that's kind of the cool part about it. Putting 2 people against each other to fight it out. That's what we want to see on a race weekend.
Everyone is in sport for rivalries.
Exactly. And we, at the end of the day, the riders kind of love it as well. It creates a cool story, but I felt like there wasn't as much of that with the Discovery in there. They were just that it's they needed TV time. Yeah. And that's what they went for. Yeah. But hopefully we're all learning. Hopefully they're learning. Hopefully they take on the feedback from the riders because they are willing to work with us, but it's just hard with the UCI as well because they have a lot of power in what we do. So there's 3 parties here and it's just all very confusing.
It's the same in motocross and supercross. We had one of our biggest switch ups ever this year. So there's always been the two series. So you have Supercross and then you have Motocross, and they never talk to each other ever. And that was just a full on like stonewall one. They basically didn't exist to each other.
Yeah.
So like separate TV channels, separate everything. And then this World Supercross come along, which is like the first ever competitor series that's like tried to actually really have a crack, like buying top rider. It was kind of like live golf sort of deal.
Yeah.
And so they came in, but what it did was it actually got the Supercross and Motocross series to come together. They did a new NBC TV deal. I think they got like $8 million or something for the TV deal. And then in that, they created like this new playoff series that paid out like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So it was like a huge shake up, and it ended up, I think personally, it worked out better for the sport. But when you have three parties, so there's like you have the AMA, which is like kind of the UCI, and then you have motocross and supercross, and then none of them are talking together, and then the riders are on that side, and then there's the teams, and then the riders and the teams, kind of, there's always that dynamic that's going on. So it's like, man, and that stuff halts the growth of the sport, you know, because it's just like in human history in general, like you can read a history textbook of the world and you'll just see it was like progress, war, progress, war, progress, war. And that's pretty much the same thing that happens when you get these deals that run, you know. And I think you look at like the UFC, they've been so successful because one dude called the shots and just made the shit happen. Like, okay, we don't like, all right, you don't want to do this? Cool, you're out. Like, and it actually, as ruthless as it is, like you could actually make progress. So it's like, what's the balance between those two extremes, you know?
I think it's just going to take a few years for us personally. Like, obviously I'm getting a bit older and like, I'm kind of not annoyed in a sense, but like, it is, you do get a bit gutted that all this big change is happening now. Yeah. Because, like, I obviously want to reach my peak and have, like, the season dialed, but obviously everyone's in the same boat at this point, so. But I know that 90% of riders, maybe even, like, 95 are in the same, like, they're thinking the same, we all think the same, and we're just going to have to try as riders to like come together and make a change. I don't know like if in moto they do that at all, but
nah, that's another problem. Like I think you guys probably have a bit more cohesion than the moto guys do. Yeah. What would you change if you had a magic wand?
Within the format or just in general?
Just in the, like if you could magic wand like your sport, your discipline, like when it comes to the formats, the TV, the partnerships, like
there's just so much.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. I feel like, you know, we race for the love of it. We always have done, especially like in mountain biking. I just feel like we just feel lucky to be there because we're living the dream and it's a young sport. And I feel like in the process, we kind of, we're used in a way for entertainment. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could change, but I feel like one of the first things, if they've got money, but we could go all over the world. Like we only have one race in America, and you know
they have to do that.
And we go to the same place every year for like years on end, and then we go back to Mont Saint Anne in Canada every year. And like I love that place, and I actually love the track, but it would be nice to just like expand a little bit and like give us more races and
make it a world championship.
Yeah, exactly, not a European one, but. Yeah, I don't know. That would probably be one of the things. And I would probably do that before I change the semi-finals just because, like, I've been racing for World Cup since I was 16. I'm 28 now. So it's like I've been going back to the same places. So I don't know how Greg Menard does it or how he feels, but it's kind of boring, like, going back to the same track every time. When there's a little change, you're like, ooh, you get so excited. Like, yes. And it's like 2 meters of track. But that should be the least of the things they do for us when, you know, we're risking our lives every weekend for entertainment, but we wouldn't have it any other way, and they know that. You know, we're still going to turn up and we're still going to race.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.